Yo, what's up, people? Um, Trying to knock out some content in a video. Let's get some light here. A day early, um, since this week I will be on jury duty. Yay. So yeah, don't exactly know when I'll have time to do this during the week, so I wanted to get my face in front of your face, uh, whenever possible, which is right now. So prep, prep. Um, should be having, well, maybe I might have another DEXA scan coming up this week, but maybe not. Maybe 2 week intervals is a little bit too close together to see any tangible change, and that comes in the context of me um, not being able in the recent weeks to stick to anything too consistently, which is a major downfall flaw. I created a word um, that I've noticed here in these last couple of weeks. Um, so I kind of wanted to hash that out because if you've been following these videos at all, you've noticed that on top of a lot of stress and injuries, I haven't been able to get into the gym as consistently as I want. I haven't been um, following my diet as pinpointly. I'm continuing to create new words here as as accurately as listed um, due to the similar issues. So I'm not exactly sure what an additional DEXA this soon would tell me in terms of what I've been implementing, because at this point it's kind of been, here and there, just kind of I'm tracking everything and still trying to, work through pain in a reasonable regard, but it hasn't been anything nearly as consistent as I'd, excuse me, like it to be. Um, so getting that additional DEXA wouldn't really give me too much in terms of actionable information. Um, so what are some ways around that? Well, I've been thinking a lot lately, and now this is the I'll be coming into my starting this Monday tomorrow. I'll be going into my 14th week of consecutively trying to be in a deficit, where the first, at least for sure, first 10 were in a deficit, um, and then the last three have been probably a little closer to maintenance. And what is this telling me? Potentially. Uh, I have to listen to my body cues at a certain point. And in retrospect, it probably would have been a little bit of a better idea to proactively plan some sort of break in the diet. I know Team 3DMJ talks a lot about this in terms of diet breaks. They will either be scheduled or they will present themselves to you. And in my situation, it presented itself to me in the form of not being able to consistently stick to what I had planned for, whatever reason. There were some weeks where I tried to up the ante on the deficit, and that really caused a lot of food focused mentality. And by the end of the week, I was eating well over what my targets were. Stress played a big role. Stress also probably played a big role in my injuries as well, because I noticed that a lot of the shoulder pain was simply um, tightness in my upper back, which I suppose if people can store tension in certain places, I guess I store mine in my upper back, because I've included a little bit of foam rolling to kind of loosen up that area. And I found that a lot of pain that was coming from it was odd, because it was pulling movements like pull-ups, face pulls, etc. were giving me the shoulder pain, and I'm like, this is really strange. And I think it was because the tightness in my back was referring through the nervous system up through my shoulders. So I've been doing a lot of foam rolling. Um, which the jury is still kind of out on that. But in terms of manual manipulation, a little bit of chiropractic, a little bit of foam rolling, trying to loosen up my upper back, and that has paid dividends in terms of how my shoulders feel. Um, so yeah, for one reason or another, it was becoming increasingly difficult to stick to the deficit and um, the intended training plan, and so I have to accommodate, right? So I've taken a decent chunk of time off. This is probably the least frequently I've trained in a while. I think I only got in the gym maybe twice this week, and they were both pretty painful. So I wasn't getting a lot of quality work done. In terms of the injury repertoire, I currently have shoulder pain really limits the amount of upper body work you can do. Back pain, which was really hit and miss, and mostly hit on days when I was in the gym, um, really limits the amount of work you can do with your lower body as well. And so just getting in the gym in that state was actually really discouraging, because I was not able to perform nearly the way I expected I would be able to. Um, in terms of how that has affected my body composition, I am completely shocked that it's not uh, impacting me the way that I expected to. My scale weight is staying relatively weight stable. It has actually gone down um, a little bit, maybe cueing me that I was in a little bit too much of a deficit up to this point, and that the additional calories were somewhat beneficial. And I do have another form of body composition, because I've been harping on this in one way or another for the last like 3-4 videos now, that my handheld device is very prone to error in terms of how you use it measurement wise and whatnot. And actually, one of my clients I was discussing this with, he has a bioelectrical impedance analysis scale, BIA, and that does not give the most accurate estimate of scale weight. Excuse me, not scale weight. Scale weight's just fine. Does not necessarily give the most accurate reading of body composition, but within methods, the measuring technique is much more consistent, because all you do is step on a scale and it reads it consistently every time. You don't have to worry about how much you're pressing an implement into your arm, or where you're pressing it on your body when you're taking different measurements, like with a handheld device. It's just a matter of getting on a scale. So while the body composition estimates are an overshoot, because based on my recent DEXA, I'm within the 17% range. The BIA scale is projecting anywhere from 22 to 23%, which is clearly not true. But like I've discussed before, the trend will be the trend. So even if I see that decreasing, um, it's still decreasing in relative terms. It just might not show the exact same numbers. But it will be decreasing within that measurement method, which is why I picked that up. And surprisingly, uh, body fat percentage has gone down, not drastically, but maybe 0.5% after eating in excess and not training all that much. Maybe this little recovery period was good for me. What I'm going to do following jury duty, which I don't know how long it's going to take, so this week will be up in the air as well. Hopefully it'll be all done on Tuesday. And then Wednesday I can start a period where I'm going to be eating more towards maintenance calories, at least for about, I don't want to give a specific time period, because I want to use a little bit of a period to kind of more on the psychological side, if anything, to kind of give my body a chance to settle at this position where I'm at, because on the whole I still have lost roughly 10 to 15 pounds of scale weight, and let's see, quick math, 6.5% body fat. So just maintaining that level will be a win for me, and I haven't really figured out how to effectively do that yet. I've been maintaining that ad hoc, just kind of, eat, especially within the last few weeks. kind of eating more or eating to appetite, I guess. But that is not a sustainable practice because my appetite is enormous, and I am willing to bet that even though it hasn't been detrimental up to this point, if I continue that, it definitely would be. So preemptively striking, raising my calories, just which will allow me to hopefully recover a little bit better. Hopefully, will get me away from the food focus mentality because I'll be eating more of it anyway. Um, Getting into the mode where intake will um, foster better performance because I haven't really like my strength has been progressing on a lot of lifts. Um, but not necessarily mostly due to injury, not necessarily on the week to week basis that I'd like to see it at. So hopefully this little period of increased calories will benefit that as well. Um, so yeah, trying to chunk out a little bit of time to maybe coast and to recalibrate a little bit before I decide to sprint again. Maybe 9 to 10 weeks is my based on my stress levels and my workload and my recovery capacity. Maybe 9 to 10 weeks at a given time is as long as I can extend a deficit. So I have to consider that and maybe take my foot off the gas for a week or two, um, or whatever period of time, in order to uh, recover better, in order to um, better understand what it takes to maintain this level of body composition, and to kind of restock my willpower and reset psychologically. Because for anyone who has gone through an extended period of training, of dieting, of anything, or yeah, literally anything, 12 weeks is kind of a long time. That's more than 80 days. That's almost 3 full months. Um, so just to have that mentality of like go 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 for that long, I'm sure people can do it for longer. I'm probably not that type of person, especially considering all the things that have popped up in my life recently. New jobs, new business, lots of stress. And again, this could all be like, oh, he's just sitting here making excuses, but I'm being real, and knowing that if I just go ahead and program a deficit for this coming week, I'll kind of be knocking my head up against the wall. It'll be exercise in futility because it won't be sustainable, at least at this point in time. So that is the plan going into this week. Get my calories up, kind of get my mind right, kind of reset, and on the whole, like I said, I'm down like close to 15 pounds and 6.5% body fat. And um, if I was to take that into another 9 week period where I would sprint and lose another 10 to 15 pounds, 6.5% body fat, what will allow me to do that? I'm not saying that'll happen, but what could allow me to do that is taking a little bit of a time to regroup. It's kind of like the analogy of in season off season for pro sports. There's nobody that is always in season, you know, and maybe my body is telling me that, hey, bro, off season. It's pack it in. We just had the playoffs, and now it's time to reassess. And these could be considered like micro seasons because, um, like I said, like I've alluded to before. That's the word I was trying to say. Um, this is going to be a very long process. A natural bodybuilding prep is something that should be taken very slowly with a lot of precautions and a lot of adjustments based on data. And the data that I've been getting right now, it's kind of telling me that I need to reassess, and reassessing in terms of what will allow me to get back to the level of commitment and the level of execution that I was experiencing in the first 9 to 10 weeks. So, I have a new article that I just released, but it will be coming out in the newsletter. The newsletter will come out a day early. This will be in the newsletter. Um, And if you are interested in my coaching services, those are always available. I do have spots still on my roster, and I've been getting into kind of a little bit of a groove here now with my clients that I do have, which is actually a lot of fun. I'm really, really, really enjoying the process here. So as long as that keeps continuing, regardless of um, what's keeping me out of the gym or what's keeping me away from my diet, I am having a lot of fun in a professional regard, which is exactly what I had hoped for. Um, all right, yeah, good to kind of hash that out and reach out to me in any form or fashion if you're interested, or even if you just have any general questions. I've always been wanting to do some sort of Q&A type thing, so shoot. Um, and I will talk to you guys hopefully next week. Hopefully the trial will be done, but it will be. But yeah, so I will go enjoy jury duty this week, and I will see you guys next time.